Yeah, our program's looking forward to an opportunity for our last home game of the season. Looking forward to a great matchup against a really good Minnesota team, and ultimately we're focused on finishing what we started. This group, this team, started something back in January that they put a lot of heart, effort, energy, and tension into. There's still a lot of really exciting things ahead of this group, but it's time for us to go finish what we started and finish it the right way, and that starts with a great opportunity against Minnesota, and ultimately only 2 guaranteed opportunities left. So the clock's ticking. This group is amped up, back in the facility, back to work, and excited for a really good matchup against a great football team.
Matt. Coach, after Michigan, you emphasized the standard here is the Big Ten championship. I asked about the offense post-game, but I want to try and clarify a little bit further. For context, average points per game in the Big Ten title for the winner is 33.8 over the last decade. Oregon won last year, averaging 34.9 points per game over the season. Last team to win the Big Ten without averaging 34-plus was Michigan State in 2015. You've proven that your style of complementary football here can be bowl caliber. But what is your reasoning that it can be championship level when the best offensive output, in conference play under Zach Lujan has been in the low 20s?
Yeah, I mean, Matt, ultimately, we're clearly not there right now. But, going into the season, that was the goal, to win a Big Ten championship. And ultimately, my job throughout the season, but most importantly postseason, is to evaluate everything that we're doing. And I wish there was a magic pill that we could take where we could just snap our fingers and make it happen. But we got to evaluate it all. Starting with me. We made some adjustments post 2024 season. I'll point to the partnership between Coach O'Boyle and Coach Olson that's been so fruitful for our offensive line. But ultimately, we're not going to compromise on the expectation and standard that we're here to go compete and win Big Ten championships. And what I'm focused on right now, what Zach's focused on right now, is getting back in the foxhole and putting our guys in a great position to be successful against Minnesota offensively, defensively, and on special teams. But we're not there yet. There's a lot of work to do.
What are some areas to improve on? Like when you're watching, even in the games that you've won, it has been a lot about ball control, maybe in the high teens, low 20s. What do you see from the philosophy that makes you think you can get to that low 30s number?
Yeah, I don't know if we're just saying, hey, we got to get to the low 30s. What we're identifying as we evaluate our team is like, who are we, where are our strengths, how do we position this group to go win consistently in the Big Ten? But actionable items, like going into Minnesota, that I've challenged our group on is ultimately, like, you look at the story of some situations throughout the year of games that we would like to have back and expected to win. We got to do a better job on defense of getting off the field on third down, to play complementary football and build some momentum. We got to do a better job, especially when the ball's inside the 10-yard line offensively, of leaving those series with touchdowns and not field goals.
Jake. Coach, after an emotional game like Saturday, what strides have you seen this team take this to both regroup and remain focused on this week's mission? Yeah,
really proud just of, like ultimately we talked about a little bit post-game. They can be an and situation. Like, there are no moral victories, and I'm really proud of the group that I get to coach and work with. I love this group. I can't wait to go finish this thing the right way with this group. And our guys heard the message post-game, the way that they responded of getting in for treatment yesterday with a positive attitude, and even the way that we structured this morning. Like, if we're going to talk about moving on to Minnesota and preparing for a really talented, well-coached Minnesota team, well, what are we doing to actually, have that align with our actions? Well, we spent a little bit of time, as a team, yesterday, certainly as a coaching staff, evaluating and finding actionable items. But, I mean, it was clear, concise, to the point on our post-game, cleanup on Michigan. And already this morning, we're on into Minnesota install and Minnesota walkthrough, and it's on to Minnesota.
Charlie? Coach, really productive day from Braden Turner on Saturday. Could you just speak to what you've seen out of him in recent weeks, especially on his ability to create, turnovers?
Yeah, we're asking a lot out of BT. whether it be in coverage, whether it be in run fits, whether it be asking him to play against 12 personnel, like we're asking a lot out of him, and he's answered that challenge, and really encouraging and exciting to see. Some areas that we've challenged him with growth, specifically his interception, where he's in a situation where he's playing vision coverage and playing off the quarterback and knowing that the ball should have to come out quick. And, he's working off the quarterbacks. He's anticipating. He's cheating his responsibility, makes a great play on the ball, pivotal, play in the game. And what we're seeing is a level of consistency, but also a level of response to us challenging him to grow in areas, and that's specifically off the interception is the area we've really been challenging him on, and it's awesome to see it show up on game day.
Gavin?
Coach, you talked a lot about, kind of taking the time and evaluating everything from the Michigan game. Looking at the fourth quarter specifically, you guys had the lead, I believe with about 12 minutes to go. Ended up from that point, 3 and out and 3 and out. When you look back and evaluate that, what are some of the things from that fourth quarter that, you wish you had done differently, or things that you can kind of take away and, with the knowledge of how that went and move forward to, when you're in a situation like that next time?
Yeah, no, Gavin, I appreciate the question. We have evaluated that, but if I'm preaching to our guys that it's time for us to move on to Minnesota, we've talked about it, we've evaluated it, and man, like our focus is on Minnesota. We've moved on.
Back here.
Hey, Coach, obviously Robert Gerald and Braden had huge games last Saturday. What did you like most just about their development on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, two guys. You said Robert Fitzgerald and Braden Bruss, correct? Yeah. Two guys that, like, in their first year of starting, right? Have played a lot of football for us, but first year of starting. And just to see those guys continue to grow within the defense and the confidence that they're playing with. I think Bruss, linebacker, is a hard position to transition, especially as an every down guy, and just consistently continuing to get better and better and playing more comfortable. You see a couple open field tackles in recent weeks where, he's really utilizing his speed and understanding angles and finishing well. And then Fitz, just, man, he's so gritty, he's so tough, he's instinctual. You see it on his interception. Those are things out of both those guys that need to continue to show up on game day for us.
Coach, when's the last time you've seen a long snapper both force a fumble and recover it? And just on a more general note, what have you seen Liam Reardon bring to this program as a grad transfer?
Yeah, I've seen long snappers recover fumbles. I don't recall a forced fumble, and I certainly don't recall a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. The thing I love most about that, obviously what happened was awesome, but the passion. Like, young man that's been with the program for less than a year and just showed up, went to work, totally bought in, loves being a Cat, and the passion that was shown of him coming off the field. Like, that dude will do whatever it takes to be a great teammate and position this team, for victory on game day. And excited to have an opportunity to do it a few more times with him.
Matt?
Coach, Hunter Wilson came to the season with just 1 catch and 20 yards in his career. Now he's turned himself into kind of your lead receiving option there. What do you see preseason to kind of put that faith in him, and then how has he grown into that role?
Yeah, ultimately, postseason last year in evaluation, and not taking anything away from our tight ends last year, but I think there was kind of this moment of we really could have found ways to utilize Hunter more last year. And to his credit, Hunter's had quite a journey. A lot of things to overcome through injury, and ultimately, his consistency over the course of the last year and a half in terms of his practice habits, he's given us no choice but to position him for not only more opportunities to be on the field, but more opportunities in the passing game. And a credit to him, a credit to Zach, the offensive staff, of finding ways to really utilizing his skill set. And sometimes with a tight end like Hunter, it's a situation where, gosh, he's great in the passing game, but he's a liability in the run game, and how do you balance that? And to Hunter's credit, he's someone that we trust to be on the field in any situation, run or pass, to be at the point of attack, to be on the backside. And, obviously, he continues to show up in passing game, and we're going to need him to have that trend continue here the next few weeks.
Dave?
You got 8 turnovers forced by your defense the last 3 games, and early in the season you were talking about it, they weren't coming.
Yeah.
And now they are. Is that just a result of the premium that you put on that, or is it just maybe a sense of urgency kicking in? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question, David. You know, we've talked about they have a tendency to come in bunches, which it certainly showed up on Saturday. I think it's a reflection of our players and our staff, not to be cliche, but like trusting the process. Like we have a process in terms of the way that we teach ball disruption. We have an emphasis like constantly. I mean, you're going to hear Tim McGargle out of practice like, we need a ball, you know, TNT. You know, I mean, talking about tackling and takeaways. And ultimately, it's a group of guys that didn't panic when they weren't coming at the rate that we wanted, that continued to trust the process. And again, it will be a pivotal piece of the formula that we need to execute on to win.
Mike Kafka coached his first game as an interim coach for the Giants yesterday. What do you think it means to the program to have, you know, a Northwestern product reach the peak of coaching in the NFL?
It's so awesome. Like, you know, obviously his opportunity was a result of you know, the Giants making a change at a head coaching position, which you never like to see. But immediately when you hear the news of him taking over, this entire program, you know, was so excited for him. And I haven't had a chance to spend time with Mike personally, but I look forward to that. Certainly reached out and had an exchange. But I think it's a testament and a credit to the caliber of young men that come out of this football program and what they go do with their lives beyond their playing career. That exists obviously in the NFL, but also exists in, you know, other professions. But we're excited for him. We're rooting for him. He is a rising star in the coaching profession, and you know, who knows how this Giants opportunity plays out. But I think there's a lot of games as a head coach in his future. He's special.
Jake, Coach, you'll be facing another young quarterback this Saturday, Drake Lindsay. What stands out to you about what you've seen out of him in tape thus far?
His poise and command, accurate with the football. He's gritty. He's tough. He's a winner. You know, Minnesota's got a good one in him for sure. But the things that really stand out as a young quarterback is like when you watch the tape, it doesn't like scream young quarterback. It honestly makes you think like, gosh, how long has this guy been a starter in the league? But his poise, his command, his accuracy are things that really stand out.
Matt. Coach, do you have injury updates on Aiden Hubbard, Richie Haggerty, Damon Walters?
Yeah, you know, Richie and Damon, you know, week to week, but not promising this week, unfortunately. And Hubs, more day to day. You know, I know one thing I know about Aiden Hubbard is he's going to do everything in his power to put himself in a position to be ready to compete on game day. Tough to tell where he's at this point during the week, but we'll know more as the week goes along.
Jake?
Coach, what did just the final three quarters that you saw out of your defense, especially after what was a tough start for them? Just tell you about the resiliency of that group.
Yeah, you know, ultimately, like shifting that focus back to Minnesota, what we have to do a great job of is be better on third down. Have to. But the resiliency that you speak of is like our brand. It's who we have to be. It's shown up in other games as well. But their ability just to withstand an attack, stay on the attack, and find ways to create takeaways and you know, create some field position. That's something that has to carry over into Minnesota this week, and also a defensive group that I think is very honest with themselves in terms of areas that need improvement if we expect to execute at the level we need to this Saturday.
Matt? You talked about how Caleb Komolafe has established himself continually more and more as a lead back this season. Was the split in carries between him and Joe last week, was that a reflection of Caleb's progress, or is that more kind of working Joe back in from injury?
You know, at the end of the day, each game flow is so unique. You can go in with a plan, but based on the flow of the game, based on things that are going on, you know, certainly like seeing Joe and Joe did some really good things, had an explosive run there that unfortunately got called back with a holding call. But, you know, when we're at our best, yeah, there's like we've established this. Caleb is a special back in this league. We need to continue to lean into that. But with Joe back and healthy, like that's something we got to find ways for both those guys to be truly highlighted within this offense.
Jake, Saturday, Martz Lewis will play against his former team. What stood out to you as he's established himself as that starter at right tackle this year?
Yeah, where we've seen from the day that he arrived on campus, his ability to like dent and move the line of scrimmage is something that really stands out. Where I give Tez a lot of credit is there's been some areas that we've challenged him on that he needed to improve upon, especially in a new system, new terminology, new scheme. But we've seen that over the course of the season. Going back and evaluating the second half of the season, he continues to trend in the right direction. And it'll be critical that Tez does a great job of really honing in and focusing this weekend on not the opponent. Like at the end of the day, doing a great job of executing our game plan to position ourselves for a successful Saturday. Because that naturally, like, there's a lot of relationships on the other side of the ball, a lot of memories there. He's going to have to do a great job of just taking a breath and focusing on being the best version of himself for the Cats.
Time for a few more, Cat.
Coach, after the game, obviously a very emotional press conference. You kind of talked about the lack of respect from maybe other teams, people outside the media, officiating the conference. Just kind of curious if you could follow up on that and whether there was something that happened where that boiled over. It was just kind of the amalgamation of an emotional game like that where it comes down to the wire.
If I misspoke from a standpoint, like from my position, I don't feel that there's any form of lack of respect. I think this is a program that is for years has been respected, and people will acknowledge, gosh, you guys play hard and you guys do it the right way, and those are all things that we want to certainly continue. But I also want to be clear, that this program isn't here just to say, you know what, we're going to try our best and do it the right way and hope we can compete on Saturdays. Like, no, we're showing up every single week with an expectation to get a win. And the work that our guys have put in all year, the work that we're putting in, institutionally, athletic department-wise, football program to, like, really deliver on that, just want to be really clear that, like, this isn't something like, oh, new Big Ten and look at these 18 teams and good old Northwestern is, going to give it their best try. No, like, we're showing up with an expectation to win. And, like I alluded to with Matt earlier, I wish there was a magic pill that we could take, snap our fingers and get there. But if we're not, like, driven daily to, like, chase after and meet that expectation as soon as possible, just really setting a tone that, especially with an opportunity to move into New Ryan Field going into 2026, like, it's going to take everyone within these, these walls here at the facility, but also, like, our fan base and the excitement. Like, we're building something special here. And we already had something really special here. But in the new landscape of college football, new Big Ten, like, we better be driven and motivated daily. And when we show up on game day, like, there's no moral victories after the game. We can acknowledge objectively what happened and how we got there, but no moral victories. Like, if the mission is to go beat whatever school we're playing and we don't accomplish that mission, that's a failed mission. That's not okay.